Three, two, one. Hello, this is Marsha Lecour, host of Listen Up Men. And today I have a very special guest with me, Mr. Barry Spilchuk. Barry, how are you?
I'm amazing. I just got back from Palm Springs, and I was so excited to do this interview, Marsha. It's been such a blessing to be on your roster. I mean, all these other famous dudes you had on there, now just little old me. I'm excited.
No, you're a big dude here. You're famous. People are excited.
Already with the weight jokes. Thanks a lot.
I mean, in terms of the influence that you have globally.
Okay. Thank you. I feel very blessed. And I think, the last time I saw you, I'm down 140 pounds in the last year and a half. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, I used to be a house. Now I'm like a 2-bedroom condo with a balcony. So we're working on that daily.
So what were you doing in Palm Springs?
I was speaking at a Christian business conference, and there were pastors there from all over the world, and I happened to be one of the speakers, and one of the other speakers canceled, and the organizer said, could you fill in for his lesson too? So I felt very blessed to be able to stand up and share, because one of my philosophies is that we've all been through stresses and messes in our life, but one of my philosophies is how do we find the bless in the mess? Because it's nice to get through it, but we never can find the bless when we're in the middle of the mess. Like, I've been through 2 cancers. One of the cancers, they said, get your affairs in order. And I looked at the doctor and said, I haven't had any affairs, and he went, oh, that's not funny. And I went, yes, it is. So I tried one of my goals. I was in Princess Margaret as an inpatient for 5 weeks. And one of my goals was to make my nurses laugh every day. And that was pretty easy because they would just point at me and go, look at that guy. He's so weird, but it worked out pretty well. And on February 2nd of 2009, the doctor said, get your affairs in order. And on August 5th of 2009, he said, you're cancer free. So I'm a God guy, and I give all the credit to him. So it was such a blessing.
So 6 months later, you were cancer free.
Yes. Yeah. And then cancer came back in 2016. And again, I turned it over to friends and family and God. And I had an operation, and bang, it was gone again. And it was through the blessing of, because when I went through the cancer the first time, I called it learning my ABCs. Because I went through in 18 months, accident, bankruptcy, cancer, divorce, employee theft, and a failed business, all in 18 months. And then as I was recovering, I tried to rent myself out as a good luck charm, but it wasn't working very well. So what ended up happening is I just started doing things one at a time. And now I remember in 2009, we went bankrupt the same day that General Motors did. But thank God they went for just a little more than I did, right? And American Express was calling and saying, please leave home without it, right? And but interestingly enough, we worked hard and got back on track. And 2 years ago, American Express actually called me and said, would you like a cardigan? And I went, when they first said it, I went, would you like a cardigan? And I thought they were trying to sell me a sweater, but I said, no, would you like a card again? And they gave me a card. And again, it just, we all go through stuff in our lives, and we just have to handle it one stuff at a time. If we get surrounded by all these things, it's really, really hard to deal with it. But if we line things up, we can get it done.
Now, so you've had a very interesting journey.
Yes, very much so. I'll be 61 next month. And I know one of the questions you usually ask your guests is, how do you get into this work? And I remember working in family business and going home every night. The mortgage was paid for. Well, I had a beautiful wife and three great kids. And I'd go home every night and feel so empty. And I was working selling windows and doors, and that was my dad's dream. And his dream was to work with his 2 sons. And my son, my brother, is one of the best carpenters in the entire world. I mean, his list of lineup people waiting for him is awesome. But I knew that wasn't my calling. And so I had to struggle for years. And I even had people say, come and work for Dale Carnegie and come and work for me. And then I finally had to leave the family business, even though I wasn't sure exactly what I was going to do. I just knew I couldn't do that anymore. Selling windows and doors wasn't what God put me here to do. And so when I left, I ended up meeting Jack Canfield, and I ended up becoming Jack's apprentice for 5 years. And that's weird because I lived in North Bay, Ontario, 200 miles north of Toronto, and Jack's in Santa Barbara. I mean, and how does that happen? So I think all of us who are listening in, one of the first things you got to do is when you know kind of sort of what you want, you got to show up, and you got to show up in places where you never thought you'd be, and then one day, here I am, all of a sudden I'm working as Jack's apprentice in the back of the room, and he started getting really busy because Chicken Soup took off, and he's saying, look, I'm busy and I charge, he went from 5,000 to 8,000 to 15,000 to 25,000 for a speech. And people couldn't afford it. And they said, well, hire Barry. He'll do it for $1.95, Canadian. And so, I became his apprentice and I started speaking. Then one day I said, hey, why don't we take Chicken Soup and shrink it down and call it Cup of Soup? And so he said, we don't have time. You do it. So I did Cup of Soup, and it's sort of half the size of a normal book, and 580,000 books later and speaking all over the world. And it was such a blessing, and but it came with lessons as well. I mean, it wasn't all just rosy, because I had this thing inside myself that I was carrying some shame, and I didn't know why, and it was there, but I had this perfection complex, and if I didn't do things perfectly, I wouldn't do them at all. And it was like, what was going on there? It got to the point where if I asked you for money, my thought was, you won't love me. So that's not very good for a business person to have that, I got to go sell stuff. So what I did was I got really good at being on stage, and I'd do a conference, and they'd say, oh, wow, we love you. Couldn't you come and do my conference? So that was great, And so I was speaking all over the world, all over, especially Canada, United States. And then I got sick. And then I sort of fell off the map for a while. And then I gained, and I was all the way up to 432 pounds. And I was huge. And it's tough for people to hire a 432-pound motivational speaker. It's like that Chris Farley character. I'm a motivational speaker, and I live in a van down by the river. Well, that was close, because, we all said the Lord's Prayer when we grew up. Most of us, give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us not our trespass. I never really knew what that meant, because every day we had to recite it into grade school. But when we went through the bankruptcy and there was no money, there was a couple of days there was no money, and I literally know what they meant. Give us this day our daily bread, because so many of us worry about, oh my God, I don't have $6 million in my IRA or my RSP, and it's like, there were 3 days specifically where all we had was Kraft dinner and frozen peas. And it was like, okay, but let's eat that today. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but tomorrow brings on its own. And, we got over those 3 separate days, and we started building it back up, and we started doing things. Sometimes you got to do things that didn't go with your vision, but it was like, okay. And again, I don't mean to turn this into a Christian show or a religious show, but that's where my life is going in terms of I'm studying to be a pastor. And, we've all heard the expression, oh, this is the cross you have to bear, right? Most people take that as a negative thing. And I remember speaking at a men's group one day, and there's 95 men in a group, and the speaker before me went long, and all I had, my original 45 minutes got cut down to 30, got cut down to 20, and got cut down to 12. And so I come out dressed in my hospital gown, like in my book, The Cancer Dance. The cover is me in a hospital gown crossing University Avenue in Toronto. And the subtitle is What to Do When Cancer Catches You with Your Pants Down. So I come out to talk to these 95 guys with my IV pole and my hospital gown, and I was going to give my usual talk. And then I saw out of the corner of my eye a cross, a 4-foot-high cross. And I looked at the pastor and I said, can I pick up the cross? And he said, sure, go ahead. And I picked it up and I said, how many of us have heard the word, the phrase, this is the cross I have to bear? And how many think it's negative? And they're like, oh, And I said, well, When Jesus was on his cross, that was his cross to bear. What's yours? And then I started thinking, mine was the accident, the bankruptcy, the cancer, the divorce. That never happened. We still live together. We're still best friends, but we never legally got a divorce for 10 years now. And it's like, and Jesus also said, pick up your cross daily and follow me. So whether you're a believer or not, what's the bless in the stress that you've gone through? What is it why were you given these problems? Well, there's hardly anybody. When I do my one-on-one coaching now, whether it's with people I meet in a coffee shop or whether it's with senior corporate executives, there's hardly anything anybody could say that says, Barry, you don't understand. You don't know what I've been through. Well, really? Accident. I mean, I had to give a testimony in a lawsuit once, and they brought me in for psychiatric testing just to make sure that I was who I said I was and all this kind of stuff. And when the psychiatrist heard that I'd been through all of that in 18 months, his question to me was, how the F aren't you insane? He said, who goes through that? And I said, well, I'm a God guy. And I said, I believe there's a blessing in every mess. And he goes, wow, you're unreal. And my question back to him was, well, what's the alternative? Am I going to crawl up in a couch and die and just, vegetate and gain up to 432 pounds, which is what I did for a while, So I invite everybody to take a good, strong look in the mirror and say, are you hiding any shame? Because, we've all heard it. Well, most of us have heard of Brene Brown. She got really famous by being invited on to Oprah. And one of her quotes one day said, if perfection is in the driver's seat, shame is riding shotgun. And I went, whoa, what am I ashamed about? And then I'm not sure if Steve Richmond has been a guest of yours yet, but I hope he is one day. He invited me to go to this men's conference. And long story short, in the middle of 172 men screaming out, I'm hurt, I'm hurt, I'm hurt. It came to me and I yelled out, how dare you? And I remembered when I was 8 years old. And you're supposed to be able to trust your babysitter. You're supposed to be able to trust your cousin and or your close family friend. And she sexually abused me. And in the middle of it, she said, no, don't do it that way. That's wrong. Do it this way. I'm 8. What do I know about doing that stuff? And I like to joke that, oh, wow, 8 years old, and it's the first time I sexually disappointed a woman, but it's not funny. And I almost wanted to start a He Too movement when the Me Too movement came out, because I so feel for those women who had to go through that, and I love women dearly. And I found out when I said that out loud, 172 men heard me go, whoa, because I was one of the 3 invited up to the front of the room to say what I said. And a whole bunch of men came up to me and said, me too. And this was before the Me Too movement. And so that convinced me even more that even though I've been through this stuff, and even though I've been through all this crap that some people call it, there really is a bless in every stress. And now men come to me to talk about that, about the abuse, about father issues, about truth, And my invitation to everybody is, if you want to be a better speaker or a better author, immerse yourself in that. If you want to be a better business person, immerse your people. If you want to have a better relationship with your staff, immersion is the only way to go. Get really down in there with your staff and your people. Tell the truth. Jack Canfield taught me a phrase years ago. He said, tell the truth faster. And I went with that for about 3 years until one day it hit me. There's no such thing as faster. Okay, there's only now. Tell the truth now. In this now, I'm hurt. In this now, I'm sad. How can I not be hurt? How can I not be sad? Well, there's a way. There's a way. And it's tapping inside of you and saying, you know what, I've got this to celebrate. I don't know, Marsha, there's a poster behind me. I don't know if you can see it. I went and had it printed at Vistaprint. That's not a plug for Vistaprint. I don't know if they're a sponsor of yours. But it says, when all you've ever wanted isn't enough. And, and I always like to compare that to, let's say in Canada, you win the $60 million tomorrow night in the lottery, or in the United States, you win the $360 million Powerball, and so they take half away in taxes. You still have 180 million left. Okay, and in Canada we got 60. So you build your dream home. You take 5 years to cruise around the world. You buy all the cars. You give to your church. You give to your friends and your family. You come home. You still got 20 million left in the bank. My question is, now what? And I encourage all of your listeners to live from the now what now. Step into what you want to do. Step into that saying of, hey, here's how I want to show up in the world. And gosh, I'm scared, but I'm going to do it anyway. Because, I mean, Tony Robbins has said it. Every other speaker has said it, the rocking chair test. You want to be 80 and go, 80? My God, I just turned 60. I'll be 61. 80's around the corner. You know, do you want to be 100 and say, hey, I wish I would have done this, you know? So find out what's keeping you stuck. Is there some shame in your life? I said shame to me, I always like to put an acronym with it. And shame is stealthily hiding a monstrous experience. And, it's like, and then how do I counteract the shame? I said, well, it's with grace. And it's God releasing a Christ experience. Okay. And for those of you people who aren't believers, I always say we can really hold on to hope. Okay. And what is hope? And you say, oh, well, I think in the presence of hope, miracles can happen. Okay. But at the same time, how do you hope? I mean, it's great to say those great cliches and sing. And I said, the answer to hope is right in the word. And hope is honor our purpose every day. So the challenge for all of us is, what's my purpose? And then I say, with my pastor background now, I'm not a licensed pastor. I said, what's your cross? What are the messages you've been through? What is the cross that you're carrying? What is it that you really want to do? Maybe there's some shameful experience that you're the one who's supposed to stand up and say, okay, that's it, no more. Like those two young women who a couple of weeks ago when they were doing the Kavanaugh hearings, and those two young women who held open the elevator door and said, you have to listen to me. Okay, now whatever your side is, Republican or Democrat, it doesn't matter. Okay, but what matters is those girls spoke up and said, you have to listen to me. And in that moment, Senator Flake said, I'll listen. And he did. Okay, and again, it's here and there, whatever his decision was, that, you debate that forever. But they listened because somebody said, I've got something to say. I truly believe that all of us have something to say. But, and the Bible says the sheep know the sound of the shepherd's voice. Well, the sheep can't hear you. And if you take it to the marketplace, it's like, if you build it, they will come. Well, not really. You've got to say out loud, here's who I am and here's how I want to show up in the world. When you start saying something, like using the analogy of the sheep know the sound of the shepherd's voice, it's like, well, the sheep can't hear you if you're not saying anything. So what is it that you sitting at home watching Marsha Lecour's show saying, I got something to say? And, well, who's going to listen? The people who are supposed to hear it. Okay. There's 7 billion people in this world. Not everybody's going to agree with you. I know not everybody's agreeing with what I say right now. That's okay. I've been called to say what I'm going to say. My question to all of you is, we all have a calling in life. And if you believe that your soul is calling you, will you answer the call? And I add, with childlike enthusiasm, because you've got to go in there like a little kid and say, this is the coolest thing. So here I walk out on Friday, in front of 250 Christian business people, and I walk out in a hospital gown, and they're going, what? I can variously, they had not seen that before. And then I gave the speech of, this is the cross we have to bear. And then I took off the hospital gown and said, you know what? Let's go for it. Okay, because this is how I'm going to show up now. So thank you for twigging my imagination with those pre-interview questions, because it got me all fired up.
And so now, is your main work, Barry, to be a pastor?
I'm still a businessman, but yes, I'm studying to be a pastor, but I'm still doing speaking training, author training, and, but it's leaning to more as being a pastor for all those people who've said, oh God, I need help with my business. Now, I know a lot of people have said that in a slang way, but God really can help you with your business. So for those people who believe that, then boy, there's a way. There's a way around that. There's a way to take all those blesses and messes and stresses and turn them into blesses. So I've been, because of my healing from cancer twice, and because of I'm studying actually the healing ministry of Jesus, and so I've been studying a lot on how to heal people and how to help people heal and how to help them heal themselves. But I always like to say, when you're with God or Jesus, your ship is coming. Because that means salvation, healing, intimacy, and prosperity. And so that's my take on that. But if you're not into the Jesus side, then on the business side, what is it that's going to make your ship come in? What is it? And it's answering your heart's calling. What is it that your heart is telling you to do? Okay. And I love teaching on marketing as well. And to me, marketing is simply creating want. That's all marketing is creating want. Good marketing is creating want and selling something. Okay. So that's what we have to do as business people. Find out what it is our people want. Take your own ego out of the way. As a matter of fact, I always say, as an author or a speaker, it's our job to be vulnerable, because to the level that we are vulnerable is to the level that they will heal. And it's our job as authors and speakers to take our private moments and live them in public, so people can go, oh, it's you. You're the one that I've been waiting for. You're the one who's going to tell me the truth. You're the one who's going to say, I'm not alone. I was abused too. I did this too. I had father issues too. I had a bankruptcy too. Because most of us won't say that stuff out loud. So as effective marketers, it's our job is to get into the heart of our customers. And I always say, give ears to their fears so you can give a voice to their tears. What is it that makes your audience move? What is it that moves them? What is it they're afraid to say out loud? And as a marketer, if we can get them to say that, then you have found your sheep. You have found your followers. You have found your tribe, as they call it these days, because they'll follow you if you can help them take away pain or, increase a gain. That's been said a million times by a million teachers, but how you do it is just telling the truth,
And that's so true. The point you made about going up authentically.
Yeah. For the last couple of years, I've been blessed. Since 1994, I've been teaching in a place called CEO Space, and I did 69 CEO spaces. 1 week at a time. I'd fly down to LA, do a week, and come home, and we didn't get paid. We just would go and do it. And the students would pay $5,000 to come and go, but we donated our time as instructors. I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm still here. I'm still here, but
There.
Okay, you got me?
Yeah, what were you saying?
Okay, I was teaching at this space, and the most effective instructors would just go out there and tell the truth from their experience. And then in the last couple of years, there's been a whole bunch of instructors going out there who are trying to sell you stuff on the internet, and they're preaching authenticity as a strategy. And they would say, I'm speaking to you now from my heart. And I'm sitting there thinking, boy, if you got to tell me that, you're speaking to me now from your wallet. Okay. Don't do that. I encourage everyone. We all have something to sell. We all have something to say.
Can't hear you.
Oh, I don't know why. I'm still talking. I'll keep talking just in case.
Can't hear you.
I don't know why. I didn't change anything on this end. So I don't know what to tell you.
Can't hear you, Barry.
I know. I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, I don't know what's going on here.
Okay.
You were saying about people speaking. I'm going to speak to you from my heart. And then I lost you.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. There's people preaching authenticity as a strategy, and they're saying, oh, I'm speaking to you now from my heart. And I'm saying, if they have to tell you that, you're not speaking from your heart, you're speaking from your wallet. So when people start telling you, oh, yes, I'm going to speak to you from my heart now. Well, where were you speaking from before? No, just come out, tell me the truth. I've got something to sell and I've got something to say. And if it matches up, we'll do business together. And if it doesn't, that's okay. But don't come and tell me that, oh, well, you must be authentic. When all these preachers or these guys are selling their internet programs for $2,000, $10,000, $100,000, and you must be authentic. Like, come on. That's a given. I mean, that's like, you must be honest. Like, so either be honest and be authentic and be integrous, or don't do it at all. Go sell vacuum cleaners.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now, how can your audience members get in touch with you?
We're repositioning everything. So the best way to do it is I'm going to give out my private email. I'm not even going to send them to a website. If you need to get in touch with me, I'm barry33@me.com. BARRY33@me.com. And I don't mind if you send. Now, keep in mind, I'm kind of crazy busy. Sometimes it takes 48 hours to get back to somebody, but if it's urgent, then I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
Anything else you want? Leave one powerful tip for men, Barry. What's one powerful tip?
Okay. The two most important words you can say to your kids and your spouse are, I'm sorry. Okay. The three most important words you can say to your kids and your spouse are, I love you. And the last thing, in any area of your life, do not be a bully, especially to yourself. Especially to yourself. Forgive yourself and forgive others because stuff happens. And, we don't plan on being bankrupt. We don't plan on getting cancer. We don't plan on making mistakes, but everything happens. So forgive yourself and forgive others and move on, because there's so much of life to enjoy. And, man, this life is a blessing. Let's hope I'm pretty sure there's an afterlife, but if not, you better enjoy this one.
Barry, it's been wonderful having you on as a guest. Blessings to you always. Thank you for joining us here today.
Marsha, it's my pleasure. It's my goal every day to bring people one step closer to God, no matter where they are. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.